this little beginning walk part here. See, I think I got my cell phone silenced. Yep, I did. I just got a notification. No, actually, no, it's not. Facebook is just not being obtrusive into my life for once.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. See? How not on brand of Facebook?
Yeah, it is weird because I just got an iPhone like within the last maybe month or so, and like it's weird how much everything tells you now. Because like I had everything shut off on my Android, so I got no notifications.
Yeah,
that way like if people would send me stuff on IG, it'd be like a week where I'd forget to check it, and like people were asking me important things. I'm like, oh shit, like because I have old man brain about my phone. I don't like I leave it places and like don't check it for hours. But people will be like, hey, I was trying to ask you something about something that was like time sensitive, and you are awful at this.
So. Right. No, I had a lot of my notifications shut off too, except for just like actual text message for people that have my actual number, and then just my Gmail, because I was waiting on word whether or not I'm booked on Shrek Fest in September.
What is that?
So Shrek Fest is it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a weekend long in Madison, Wisconsin, about living, breathing, and eating, sleeping, everything Shrek. So
does anyone ever, I'm assuming people dress up, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Does anyone ever dress up as the wrestler that he's based on?
No. I don't think they have.
You know the guy I'm talking about?
Yeah. With his surprisingly gorgeous French wife, too.
Yeah.
He was like a French guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen his wife, but like I knew about him, but I hadn't seen him. And then I saw them together. I was like, huh, like that's
almost looking like the human Fiona.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
and it's kind of crazy too, because like I also I had the actual book before my cat peed on it and ruined it.
It was a book.
Yeah. Shrek was a book from like 1990. It was like a kid's book. My parents got it for me for Christmas one year.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
My mind's blown right
now. And like, it's amazing that they pulled what they did for the movies out of that book, because literally about the only thing they used was the characters themselves.
So is there a donkey in the book?
There is a donkey, but he is nowhere near as charming, funny, heartwarming as Eddie Murphy.
I gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
He's he's kind of annoying. They do clarify that, but like Shrek's a savage in the book. Like he just like refers to the wife as the ugly thing.
Oh.
Even afterwards, like I guess I take you to be my lawfully wedded wife. You know you're a horrible thing. You know.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'll say, yeah, he's a hashtag king status, right?
Yeah, right? Like that. Listen, that's what I aspire to. It's real manhood.
That's right. Well, I'll say enjoy the last full month of Short King Spring.
Yeah, it's almost over. It's been a whirlwind of the season.
It's been a short season.
Yeah, it really. Yeah,
I kind of hate myself for that.
No. Honestly, I wish I'd have gotten to it. I wish I'd have gotten to it first. No,
Phil, you had like a stepping stool to jump up and get it. Right?
Oh my God! I can't. Every now and then I forget what it's like to be around you, and then the wordplay starts, and I'm like, oh shit! All right,
the curse of being always on. Yeah. Speaking of, I want to say like for little people again, the vague, non-offensive term that we now use. I think they actually have like this, like almost like a portable, it's like a backpack, but it folds out into like it's like a stepping stool that you carry around with you.
That makes sense that you would have with like
I want to say I like saw somewhere online where they do have this like portable stool thing for vertically challenged folk.
Is it odd that you don't see as many little people as you used to?
I know.
Like, does it seem like you to me? I felt like the whole time I was growing up, I would see little people regularly.
Yeah,
like it was just a regular part of it. But now, like, it's rare, and I'm wondering, like, I mean, they're making more of them, right?
I think what happened is the government like went through and like collected them, threw them in all vans, and then sent them into some scientific like experimentation and cloning process.
Okay, see, I'm with that, but my question is, why don't we have more Peter Dinklages then? Because
they left one to throw us off the trail.
Okay, he is mesmerizing, and it worked.
He is, and he's in the next. I I just saw the trailer. He's in a
something in Snakes.
The Hunger Games. Yes, yeah, that's it. Yeah, he's apparently the guy that started it all.
Yeah,
going that far back.
His voice sounds completely different. And like I always love when you hear an actor in a trailer and if you can't see their face and you don't know it's them until like the trailer for Tenet when it came out.
Yeah.
And when you first heard John David Washington's voice, it sounded like his dad.
Right.
Like I forget what he says. He's in order to do what I do, you like he does this whole thing, and you're like, that is your father. Like the idea that you can change that and not sound like that trademark of a delivery.
Yeah.
And like that's really wild. Like Pacino is like that, except he's just always on crack
coke.
Well, that, but he's like he got stuck in Son of a Woman and then like never like. But do you remember what he sounded like when he was like a younger actor?
I mean, yeah, a little bit.
If you see any of his, like you see Dog Day Afternoon, or you see like even the first Godfather, it kind of talks like this the whole time. Like when he's like he's got this, and it's like it's a weird. I wonder if he decided like I'm talking different now
to get him through the bell minutia of being Al Pacino, that he just like created his own character.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that, like, if he was just like, okay, this is public Al. I'm just gonna be
right,
kind of like the crazy uncle, like
call me Albert.
Yeah, like I don't know. I wonder if you have to do that. Like, if fame does that to you, if you get to a certain level of recognition and you have to have a public version of yourself that you can like turn on.
Right. I think about that all the time, and that's exactly why I continue to do the comedy that I do, so that I never have to worry about being famous.
First of all, I loved how long of a walk that was. Secondly, you got me with it. Like you. Secondly, like I do think that comedians in general are not particularly well adjusted to fame.
No,
like I don't think you should. No, okay. I don't know about should. I don't think it's natural for comedians to become more famous than they are funny.
Yes,
if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I watched Mulaney's recent special. Have you yet?
Yeah. Baby J.
He. I mean, that really kind of does peel back, like again, because Mulaney there for a while. I mean, he was like, almost king of the comedy world.
He was Mr. Likeable. Like he was. Everything he did was bank. Like everything.
Yeah, I mean, he appealed to such a great audience. Like, I mean, he obviously the fallout being the fact that he was like women's favorite comedian.
Was he? I guess I didn't know
because like when he cheated on his wife, I mean, it was such a betrayal to his female fan base.
Because
they were like,
always never spoke
if any,
about his wife,
yes, exactly. Yeah, he was so positive about his. Well, I mean,
looking back on it,
great way. He was positive in a great way. But yeah, no, I mean, he really painted the picture that he was just like this perfect, what every woman wants their guy to be. And then that happened, which is like, if someone that looked more like me cheated on their wife, they'd be like, yeah, he's just a piece of shit. Like when Louis happened, when Louis' thing happened, everyone like looked at him and they're like, yeah, of course he's a creep. Yeah, well, but like if Mulaney was doing the same shit, it would have been much more of a betrayal.
I think you're right, but I think that's also part of the problem with being a certain level of marketable comedian, right? Because regular weird looking comedians, we get to hide behind, like wait,
what are you talking about?
Okay, fine. You, all right? Like I'm catching up. I realized, like you were saying, but so many more people are in that Louis C.K. sort of box than the John Mulaney box, where like no one expects. Like if you tell somebody you're a stand-up comedian, no one immediately thinks wholesome. Like no one does. No one thinks like everyone immediately thinks like that you like drink and that you do drugs and they never fucking offer you any. It's like it's like
they never pay you for the ones that you give them.
Yeah. It's and most of the comics that I know, it's like they did not have great upbringings. You know, like some of them aren't having great existences right now.
No, not at all.
You know, so to have somebody like Mulaney, it did look like things are fine. Like he was like sober, and like, you know, he was the safest comedian.
Yes,
that there could. It was like him and Bo Burnham. I think he even mentions that in his special about how
Bo Burnham's no longer problematic. Yeah,
Wait, what did Bo Burnham do?
No. It was just, they were like, because he acknowledged that he was like in that, mentioned in the same breath.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, Bo didn't cheat on his wife. He just did some really weird, not funny special about COVID.
Yeah.
And then
I liked Inside.
I mean, I liked it for what it was, but it wasn't. I just didn't find it funny. I enjoyed it. I just enjoyed it as a look into the mental health of a performer during the time where they couldn't do what they. Yeah. He was well adjusted though, because he was like the first comedian to come up from social media though.
Yeah, and
so
he
was before comedians could get famous on TikTok and Instagram. It was just YouTube, and he was like the first one to really do it.
Yeah.
So it really makes sense that he was the first one of the first comedians to put something out, because again, he was kind of in his wheelhouse in that way.
Yeah,
but he had gotten kind of very used to not having to do that as well. So, like, I mean, I saw him in Bowling Green, actually.
Really?
Yeah. It was like the year after I had to drop out, and yeah, when I'm seeing him, it was great. It was what then became the What special.
Okay.
And I mean, yeah, it was fantastic. And again, for a guy that came up from social media, he did have excellent crowd presence, and that's one thing that a lot of like TikTok comedians don't have. Matt Rife excluded. I hated on him for a long time, but then I actually watched him. Like, all right, he's actually pretty good.
One, I've only ever seen him do crowd work.
Yeah,
like I'm just getting familiar with him, and it's weird because I didn't even know he was a Columbus comic.
I didn't either.
You know,
yeah.
And somebody was like, yeah, he's from here, and I guess he started really young, and I don't know who picked him up and took him on the road, but I think it was like Dane Cook, somebody like that. But you know, and I think
Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, you know, somebody wholesome like that. Yeah. Which, by the way, do you think we should be able to use AI versions of problematic artists to make things that we like? Like, okay, don't cast Kevin Spacey, but AI Kevin Spacey never touched anybody. Right. So, like, if you could get into Spacey, but just don't pay Kevin Spacey, would you go see this movie?
Yeah. So that just tells me that you really, really, really want more House of Cards.
Actually, I didn't even watch the last however many seasons. Like, I was a big Kevin Spacey fan before, like from like Usual Suspects around that area. Like, but yeah. Also, it makes me wonder, like, how many creeps there are in Hollywood that are just like waiting to get found out, where they're like, I did so many things, it's gonna be my time. Like,
yeah,
you know, like because what did Dave Spell say? I don't think I did anything problematic, but we'll see. Like, you know, I'm wondering if it's one of those things where it was a generational thing where everybody in that era was just the worst.
Yeah, just goblins.
Yeah, and just it's just a matter of if somebody tells on you specifically.
Right. All right. So when COVID first happened, I remember, and this doesn't age well because I have a great bit about protecting Tom Hanks now, but right when COVID happened, well, first off, there was that one award show. I think it was the last one that Gervais hosted, because he just basically pipe bombed Hollywood. Yeah. And like the Tom Hanks' face specifically really told a lot. Mm-hmm. And then it was like shortly after the Epstein list came out of everyone that's ever set foot on that island for any reason. Yeah. Admittedly, it didn't. I don't think it said how many times, but it's just like, hey, if this person was ever registered, like setting foot on this island, it showed. And I remember he was on the list. And then it was pretty much right after that, he just announced like, oh yeah, I'm moving to Greece for a while. And the moment I heard that, I'm like, he did some horrible shit.
Tom, no.
Nobody's come out. But I'm just saying, like, his timing couldn't have been worse if he didn't.
Dude.
And like, he's a dual citizen of Greece. But yeah, he just went there and laid low for a while, and then yeah. So I mean, I'm hoping that's not true. I'm hoping that he wasn't like some real life Woody for a kid's playroom.
Gee, bro.
But
it's so dark, but mechanically it's sound.
That's the brand, baby. That's the brand.
Like I really do wonder, like, especially because now everything you've ever done is on the internet now. Like, depending on how old you are, your entire life has been recorded.
Yep.
So I wonder, once we get to the point where, you know, millennials are like in their 50s and 60s and a lot of our life has been recorded, like, what are people going to start getting jammed up for? That people are just like, no, you can't deny that you did this. Like, it's you in the video. Mm-hmm. Like, it's, and plus, you know, I don't know, I'm an elder millennial, so I still remember how awful we were like growing up in the 90s. So like if we had camera phones back then, all of us would be in prison right now.
Oh yeah.
All of us. It's
like when you hear like stories about like how your grandma and grandpa met. Mm-hmm. Like your grandpa 9 times out of 10 was a stalker that borderline raped her. Like, I mean, when you hear the story, it's like, oh, he followed me home for like 2 weeks after I kept telling him I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he crawled in through my window one day, and we've been married ever since.
Oh my God.
Like that's the gist. That's the general gist of every like old person love story.
Yeah. Like either that or we both thought we were going to die because it was the war.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
You know, so I married him before he left so that, like, you know, like he'd at least have like if he died, he'd at least have a kid and a wife and like a pension. And like I wonder if that's what our stories are going to be like at that age, like because I wasn't on Tinder until I was like 30, like you know, and like it wasn't by then I was already like too old to give a fuck about a lot of shit.
Yeah, you were already 4 kids into the game.
Yeah. I mean, spread around. You know, not that I was caring for, but yeah, but they technically were mine. Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's weird because there's so much about social media that I still have trouble like caring about to a certain extent, and especially trying to do comedy, you have to care because that's how you get to recognize your brand and to get people to come to shows. Like you have to. You can't. I don't know anyone. Well, I mean, maybe it's possible, but do you think you could start a comedy career and never be on social media? Like, you think it's possible?
In today's day and age, I don't think you could. Like, you would just have to be so goddamn funny and just happen to be in the right room with like an agent, which doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to just, I think you'd have to live in one of those places where there are just agents around. Like, you have to live in LA. You'd have to just happen to live in New York. Right. And just happen to be around that. Because I'm thinking of all the funny people that we know that are just, you know, incredibly hilarious. That
all 3 of them. Yeah.
No, okay. Okay. I think that's 3 is generous. But, you know,
one of them fat. So, I mean, he counts too.
Okay, that's true, and it's weird because I had no idea that Ty Moore was actually funny. I thought his whole thing was that he was just fat, and then I finally like he did a joke, and I was like, oh, that was clever. Like that was, no, I really meet. I was talking to Xavier about this shit, like how many hilarious people that you meet that you don't even know their comics, right? Like, especially because I'm so new at it. Like, I didn't know who Jason Banks was, right? Yeah. And he like I just saw him at the Attic, and we ended up chopping up. And somebody's like, "Do you know who that is?" I'm like, "No." And then it turns out people have just been stealing his shit online for the longest. And I'm just like, what do you do about that? What do you do when you do something that is so awesome that people just steal it, like? And they just and just run with it. I don't even know if he's upset about it.
See, I mean, and the reason why Banks is the king of Columbus is because when presented with that situation, his mind frame is just, well, I'm just going to make some newer, funnier shit, and that's what he does.
Yeah.
It's the most winning attitude. It's the like. I mean, it sucks, but it's like now I just he's now required to make newer, funnier shit.
Yeah.
Although I think I saw where he like recorded a special. He recorded a special around the same time I did mine.
The one that I went to?
Yes, the one that you were at, and I think he did his in Atlanta as well.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, it's gonna be fire, but yeah, once upon a time, I had the same situation. Like the first time I met him, I didn't exactly know who he was either. Oh man, High Life,
right?
Not a sponsor yet.
Which, by the way, Ev, if you're watching, I still cannot do better than this.
I'll say this is only the third time that High Life has organically been brought up on this podcast. So come on, the Miller Corporation, whatever it is, answer my emails.
It is the champagne.
It is. Hence all the bubbles that have to come back up. But when I met Banks at Red Rock, and actually I was doing a roast battle that Money G ever did before he moved. And it was just afterwards. He actually is like the first one. He came up to me and he was like, "Dude, you were hot, man."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, thanks." It's like always nice to meet a fan, you know.
Did you offer to sign something for him?
Yeah. I was like, "Yeah, man, you can catch me around, you know."
Yeah.
I was like, I'm from far away, but when I come in, it's big news, you know.
I got some gravity to me.
Afterwards, they're like, you know, that's like the best comic in Columbus, right? I was like, is that Jason Banks? Oh my god. He met me right in like one of the few times I was on that Can't Tell Me Nothing shit, right? And actually, and then it was like a couple weeks later, I went to Red Rock just for like a regular open mic, and like I went. It was like the first time I killed on just like an open mic. Like the roast doesn't count. That was its own like special brand of thing. But just as far as me going up in there and doing my normal material, it was the first time I had killed in Red Rock. And once again, I'm like on my Can't Tell Me Nothing shit. And then as soon as I'm walking off stage, I just hear, and next up, give it up for Jason Banks. I'm like, fuck. No one's going to remember me at all. No, and he just went up there and he just, just sprayed an AK-47 of comedy.
Slaughtered the entire...
Yeah.
What's really crazy to me is to see people that can kill on autopilot.
Yeah.
Like, and not go up there with material or anything. They just like they walk up there, they turn it on, and whoever's in the crowd, they can figure out like what's gonna work, what's not, and pivoting when something doesn't work. Like they have so much that you don't even like, as if you're not watching, you don't even know that something didn't work.
Right.
Like they moved and pivoted from it so fast that like you didn't even get a chance to realize that something before that didn't hit.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the very few, and I mean very few times that ever happens to me, okay, is when something doesn't work. I'm good at recovering, but it's not a seamless pivot. It's more me. I call it out, and then I just bring it on. But yeah, to have the ability of like not even like letting the crowd acknowledge that it didn't work and then shift into something else is like a fucking superpower.
Yeah, I've only seen a couple people do it, and at least locally, I've seen Bobby Dodds do it. Yeah, like it's, and I've seen I want to say I've seen Kenny Mock do it, but like it's one of those things where I just hope I eventually acquire that skill. It's weird. There's so many skills about comedy that I didn't even know existed that I don't have. That like every time I see somebody do something, I'm like, I eventually want to be able to do that. And I didn't know somebody could do that until just now.
Yeah,
like, it's I don't know. It's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, comedy's like an onion. With every layer you go through, the closer you get to making them cry.
Yeah, well, there you go. And it eventually will probably make you cry and blind you. So I do want to know what made you. First of all, how long have you been doing stand-up? Because I have a general idea, but I don't know.
Okay, so technically I started February 24th of 2018.
I don't know why I thought it was a lot longer than that.
Nope, only 5 years. And then and even then, those first 2 years before COVID, I mean, almost barely counts because I was dating a girl, and like when we first started dating, I was even like, just so you know, I am like whole hog like pursuing like my dream of being a comic. Is like, so just know that doesn't mean I'm gonna be here every night.
Yeah.
It's like ideally on weekends I'm out, maybe the occasional weekday night. But trust me, when I'm not doing that, yes, I would like to be here with you.
Yeah.
And she did that thing where she's like, of course I understand. I want to be here every step of the way while you do it. Give it 3 months later. And I mean, she is guilt tripping me so hard every time I'm like, hey, I'm going to go do this. It's like, oh yeah, go do that. You know, get away from me. I get you.
Does she ever want to come see you?
Oh, and then every time she was like, no. It's like, okay, well then shut the fuck up.
Damn.
So yeah, anyway, so I didn't get to do a lot in my first 2 years, and then COVID happened, and so I've only really been very actively performing for 3 years.
Okay,
but I had a little warm up 2 years, and then
COVID
happened. When did you start?
May 25th of last year.
Oh damn!
Yeah,
I also thought it was a little longer now.
Nah, I'm coming up on my year in a couple weeks.
Damn.
Yeah. It it's not something that I ever thought I would pursue. As a matter of fact, I was vehemently against ever doing it for any reason. I was like, if I felt like it would be the absolute worst to try to make art based on making people laugh and them liking you.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was just going to be a popularity contest that I would just hate to be involved in, you know. And but I also think I didn't know anything about the mechanics or the skill involved. You know, I think I was just observing it as a very casual observer. Like I grew up like watching stand-up, so I've had favorite comedians since I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I don't think I thought of it as a science at all.
Okay.
You know, I think I thought of it more as just like a skill or a talent. So there's certain visual art that I don't really know how it's made, so I can't judge it skill wise, right? Like when I see CGI, for example, like it's really, really good. Like I don't know how to do any of that. So sometimes people will be like, that's really shitty. And I'm like, it looks awesome to me. Cause like I don't know.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that if I tried.
Yeah. Yeah. So it felt like that. It makes me wonder like why certain people choose to do it. Like, why did you start? What made you want to do it?
Pussy.
Okay.
Pussy is what made me want to start.
All right.
And that's the only reason I'm still doing it. I don't care about the money. I don't care about my name living on forever.
Just the trim.
Just highly elevated pussy. That's it.
That's fair. Okay.
I'm a 6. I want to get 7s and 8s. That's it. That's why I do it. But I grew up loving it from like 13 on. And I ironically, I'm way into the science of stand-up. And that's every now and then my problem is I'm sometimes too analytical of it. I don't just let it happen. But getting better at that. But I do love the science. I love a good highbrow joke every now and then too, because again, the majority of it is my dick, the government, you know, shit like that. Same couple topics. And even
call your dick the government? That is
yes. Because you about to get fucked.
It's tax season. All right. No. All right. So you're too analytical about it, but my question is like, what? Because you're saying you like a good highbrow joke. How do you decide when you're going to roll one of those out? Is it the room? Is it
a lot of times? Yeah, a lot of times it's a room. And I'll tend to start off highbrow because it's like, I don't know. It's most people would say start out low and set like a low watermark. No, I like to set a high watermark. If that stuff works, then I know to just take it down a notch, take it down a notch, take it down a notch.
Yeah.
And like, again, a lot of times my material I feel like is just like dick and poop jokes. But again, it's the one thing that unites us all.
That's fair, and
it's things that we either love giving or getting dick, and we all poop. So I mean,
it's definitely. I was listening to
whether the dick is artificial or natural.
Somebody,
I mean, if it's built on or you strap it on, either way, it's one thing that unites us all.
I think that's the theory about boobs. About why everyone loves boobs, because like at some point everyone was in love with boobs. At some point everybody was sucking on boobs. Yes. At some point in their life. So even gay men who are just completely repulsed by the idea of sex with a woman, or be like, great boobs.
Yep. And Like that's why I have the theory that like ass men were bottle fed for that very reason.
Really?
Because they don't have that initial attachment to like the literal physical attachment to boobs.
You don't think it's weird that wait, so is that what makes an ass man is you don't have the attachment?
I'm just spitballing here. I'm a scientist. I'm throwing out hypotheses here.
That's the thing, because it's weird that that as men we turned it into like you gotta pick one. That's weird.
Yeah,
it's like, weird that we did that. That we were like you can only be one. Like I don't understand.
It's not Highlander. I mean, it's like
we Coke and Pepsi like a woman's body. It's weird. Like
right.
I don't know. But also like we weird
like,
shit.
Why are we not combining them and having Dr. Pepper? That's where I'm getting at.
My mind is blown right now. Like I never thought about it. But yeah, that is what it is. It is the mating of the two. It is like what do you call it?
It's called Dr. Pepper needs to sponsor us now. That's what it's called.
Yeah, it's you know what's weird? I grew up. That was the only soda that I like actually liked, because I never like drank any of that shit growing up. But like Dr. Pepper was always my weakness, and everyone else thought it was nasty. Like everyone else was like, it's disgusting. I don't even understand why anybody likes it. And like to this day, like if it's available, I'm like, but fucking I want Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. It's because it's most people probably don't like it if they really don't like cherry flavored anything, because with all the other stuff going on there, it is kind of hard to remember, but Dr. Pepper really is just like a cherry cola, and then they throw in like a little bit of chocolate, a little bit of vanilla in it. That's the difference. Because the idea is Dr. Pepper is supposed to sort of be like a chocolate covered cherry, but in like pop form. That was the initial intent of Dr. Pepper.
How and why do you know that?
I'm fat.
Well, okay, but like,
I've grown up
just come to you by osmosis. Like,
you're
just connected to the fat cloud. Anything you need to know about, like,
when you're born 11 pounds 14 ounces, I just start off with a wide trivial knowledge of fast food and overprocessed products.
Damn. Like, genetic memory, like to the snack level. Like that's hilarious. Now, it's funny because I do wonder, like, were you all like I know a lot of big comedians, and I don't even mean fat comedians. I mean like just large comedians. Like, and I'm wondering, like, is that something that big people do as like a not, I wouldn't say a defense mechanism, but like a processing. Like do you feel like, because every fat comedian that I know is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm wondering if that's in
that is, yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I think any fat comics intro to the world of comedy, it is as a almost as a survival tool, and as one of the only things that we acknowledge like early on in our lives. It's like, hey, if we're ever going to attract a mate, like again, just breaking it down like caveman shit here.
Yeah.
It's like, if I want a mate, I'm not physically a superior athlete. I'm not aesthetically pleasing to women. I need to give them what I can't give. No, I am not. No, I'm not.
Or men, I've been told.
I mean, there's been the occasional man at rock bottom that wants me to rock bottom, and then every time I'm like, nah, I'm sorry.
Huh. It's interesting that you see yourself as the top in this situation.
I confide in you my love of open-toed shoes as a fellow open-toed brother, and here you are.
Yeah, I do. I thought it was foreplay, but no.
So I mean, it's very basic. Like, hey, if we want to attract a mate, we understand that we have to bring something else to the table besides looks.
Yeah.
And then specifically me, like my first taste of being like funny was by roasting myself, because I was bullied, quite a bit in school. And so one day I was just like, you know what, I'm going to say worse shit than they could ever think of, so that when they say something, I'm like, oh, that's not creative. That's not funny.
I say worse shit about myself.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I'm brushing my teeth in the mirror, and like I'm just thinking to myself, it's like, all right, let's see. It's gonna probably take 4 seconds for my titties to stop moving after my arm stops. And as soon as I do it, I time it. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, you are a fat piece of shit. Yeah.
You know what's funny is like I think that is how a lot of comics start, but I wonder why you think people stay in it once you get past that initial stage where you're like, all right, I can use my defense mechanism stuff up front. Like everyone, I see a lot of people that have access to that when they first start, that sort of self-deprecating humor.
Yeah.
If you're shrewd about it, like you'll start to pick the low-hanging fruit. Like, all right, I'm going to address like how I look or how I sound or whatever it is, right?
It's a great icebreaker when you get up there. Like if I do anything self-deprecating, I'll do it like right up front. Like I'll talk about like a piece of distracting clothing that I just happen to wear. And like I don't do it because I want to address it. I just wear it just because I'm feeling it that day. And then I'm like, well, there's probably one person that's going to be focused on it. So let me just clear that out of the way early. Also, I think a reason why, and at this point, I'm just doing all the shit I did to my therapist. Yes, I actually went to therapy before I started the podcast. I'm not doing it as the same thing. I understand the importance of separation of therapy and podcasting.
Do you think that's like most comedian podcasts? Like instead of therapy?
Hell yeah.
Really?
Yeah, yep, they're just hiding behind a microphone instead of taking real accountability. So,
damn.
Yeah, that's right. I said it.
Damn.
Come at me.
It's like all of our friends.
And then if you do, I'm going to cry and run to my therapist.
Because
the world's mean.
That's real.
Yeah. The reason that we stay in that though also is just it's a classic statement of old habits die hard, and especially if you do it in like middle school, early high school, that's like the most formative years. That's when you are becoming, all right, hey, this is who I'm going to be the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And so it's unfortunately whatever happens to you between like 10 and 15, that unfortunately that becomes part of your like core psyche or your persona, your mentality. So then that's very deep in the core. So then to like get that out and like not do that, it is very hard. And like I do struggle with that all the time. Being confident, because that's like people like also think that like when I'm self-deprecating, they think it's because I hate myself. That's not true. I actually do love myself.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm God's gift to earth, but I do love myself. There's a difference. Like I'm comfortable with myself.
Yeah.
And I just do it because I think it's fucking funny. And I'm good at it.
Yeah.
So like that's why I do it. It's not out of this desperate need for the attention because I hate myself. No, I did it for many years and I'm good at it. That's why I love roasting. Which speaking of, you can catch me at the Attic on June 2nd roasting Def Goldblum.
Oh wait, so you is it a new round or is it like
new round?
Continue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Getting that plug out early.
No, it's you versus Def?
Yeah. I also literally just found out after I walked out of the movie theater. I looked at my phone.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know where the jumping off point was there. But yeah.
So I've been meaning to ask you about roasting because I'm not a good roaster at all. Like I can riff in conversation, but I do not see myself winning a roast battle anytime soon. So it's like, have you always been good at it, or was it something like when you first started comedy? Did you say that was your first time doing comedy was roasting, or like you did comedy for a while and then you roasted?
No, my first attempt of just being funny, like in real life, like that was just how again I got myself through being bullied in like middle school and then high school.
I got you.
So that was way off the record. That was well before I hit my first mic.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was how can I be funny in a way that's just basic stand-up stuff and not like this mean-spirited ribbing. But then because I don't know, the few times you get to do that and there's a good context for it, though, it's really fun.
Yeah.
And like I found a great way to do that too was by the character roast, because that way you're not actually like talking about somebody that you're talking about this character that's not real.
Yeah.
So I love to roast Jesus. Hey. But so that makes it easy. That takes some of the moral pressure off, and also because like other people then know those characters as well. Like for me to like have a roast of Destin Richardson, which you can catch on June 24th at Homestead Cherry Valley Public House. I say anyone just listening to this doesn't understand the sheer dumbass way that I do all my plugs. But for those of you watching on YouTube, you're probably sick of it already.
I'm taking notes.
So yeah, the fact that everybody knows like Batman, like we did the rest of Batman.
Oh shit!
Like yeah, not everybody knew who Jesse Pimpinella was, but I put him in a cheap Batman suit. Yeah. Everyone knows who Batman is.
Yeah.
So then it makes it more accessible for the audience because they understand these characters and their stories and everything like that. So it's poking fun at that, blending in some pop culture here and there.
I got you.
Very rarely was it ever an issue if we would like work in the actual comic behind the outfit.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened every now and then. Like I had Ty Moore as Thor for our Avengers roast. Obviously, had to address some Ty Mooreisms. Also, the fact that I had him up on stage eating chicken wings on stage and drinking Snoop Dogg wine. The Snoop wine was purely his choice. But I was like, I want you to be up there just being as like pure early endgame Thor as possible.
Hell yeah.
Like just in the throes of depression.
Yeah. That sounds perfect. I would love to see that.
He was like, it's probably my he's like, I've peaked in this business. He's like, I'm finally doing what I want to do. I'm making fun of people eating chicken wings and getting paid for it.
I mean, what else is there?
Right.
So let me ask you. So how many when you meet comics that are like road comics or known comics?
Yeah.
Have you first of all have you gotten a chance to talk to any of them like and actually just chop it up and see what?
Not terribly so. But I'll always actively go out and say hi, try and make them laugh at least once. Let them know that I'm in the business too.
Yeah.
And then again, other than the one time I met Jason Banks and I was on some Kanye shit, but no,
I'm really curious what you act. Did you say you can catch me around?
Almost, I did.
Were you real coy and mysterious? But like, oh yeah.
I was pretty cocky about it. I'm like, hey, you catch me around.
Yeah, just look anywhere. You'll see me.
Look for the crowds, man. Look for the crowds.
Listen for the cheers.
Yeah. But anyway, now that you're stuffing your face with food, so I know you said that you started 3 years ago, and you.
Oh no, I started a year ago.
Or a year, sorry. Yeah. I'm confusing myself here.
Yeah.
A year ago, you thought that there was no science to it or any reason to do it, and you've proven yourself wrong.
Yeah.
But I mean, who would you say? I know you said you had earlier favorite comics. Who were some of the ones that you loved growing up?
Well, there's the obvious ones, right? Like Pryor and Chappelle.
Yeah.
But I grew up watching a lot of sort of I guess what you call the cable comics. So you remember back when Comedy Central had a lot of things like
the half hours.
Yeah, like comedy half hours and like premium blend.
Yeah,
and like just for laughs and all these things where there were all these comics that I would never have known about if I didn't see them in that like festival setting.
Right.
So, one of the guys that I really liked growing up was Stephen Wright. Like I cannot do one-liners like him at all. I desperately would love to, but I loved his delivery, and I'll be honest, I find myself aping his delivery on accident a lot, and other comics that I really enjoyed before I actually started watching it religiously, I'd say would be I was a Paula Poundstone fan. I loved Sinbad back in the day. I grew up watching all the BET comics, so like Cedric the Entertainer and like Gary Owen, and it's weird because you see so many people that you don't realize have been in comedy that long.
Oh yeah,
and then you see them do a special, and you're like, oh, this person's been doing comedy for like 30 years,
right?
And like you don't know. So it's the older ones, but also I like some of the new comics that I shouldn't say new, but the younger, like Sam Morril is
one of my favorite newer ones. Yeah, I know what you mean when you say newer. This is the newer class, basically.
Yeah. But it's funny because now, especially with the online access, there's so many people that I'm getting to know about that I didn't know about. Like I didn't know about Shane Gillis until the whole SNL scandal.
Same,
but apparently he was hilarious way before that. And I'm curious what types of comedy you're interested in doing that you had? Like, are there any types of comedy that you wish you could do that you don't do?
Yeah, I would love to say the N-word, but
at least just this is the dream bucket list dream.
Well, okay. So also, as you said, you started watching the BET comics. That was also like when I started watching stand up. Those were my first ones too.
Yeah.
So like those are pun always intended. Who the fuck am I kidding?
Right.
Those are my roots. But obviously I can't tap into those for obvious reasons.
Well, do you when you say you can't tap into it, what do you mean? Like,
just some there are certain like scenarios in the world of black comedy that if I was to say would be very disingenuous. Because like I did grow up in a pretty almost upper middle class up until I was in high school. And then my freshman year, both of my parents lost their jobs.
Oh shit.
And they had a hard time getting jobs throughout all my high school. So we lived on my college fund. So I mean, I could pull the Jay-Z story for 4 years of my life, but before those 4 years, no, shit was great. Like, yeah. So there's just that certain things I can't relate to in the world, but like I'll always like try and like think of like the energy and stage presence of it, because like when you get into like the world of like alt comics, especially like the classics like Patton, Dave Attell, whereas they were like almost as low energy as possible in a way, and like Stephen Wright as well. You wouldn't get energy out of him if you shot him with lightning, right? But like also like you mentioned that you accidentally will do some Stephen Wright-isms at times. I do that with Patton a lot because he was like one of the first white comics I like really got into. And,
I love Patton Oswalt growing up.
Yeah. And every now and then, and one of my friends especially, who he's another big Patton head, like he'll call me out on if I accidentally just like drop a random, like not even intentionally doing it, but like just like a little tag that is like either it is a Patton or like it's something so clearly Patton-esque.
Do you think it's avoidable? Like, okay, I remember when Dave Attell started to get really big, like even before he had a show, like, and I remember everyone copying his cadence. Yeah, like I remember like an entire generation of comics after that just doing their best Dave Attell impression. Yep, and I don't think they were trying to.
Jesselneck, before he found his style, he said that he was doing a Dave Attell impression for like 2 or 3 years.
It makes sense. Yeah, and he probably didn't even know he was doing it.
Yep, he had to be called out on it basically.
Do you think it's possible to have a style that is entirely your own, that is not informed by anybody?
I don't think so. I don't think you can 100% have something that is uninfluenced by any outside forces. Just because, like, I mean, like, look at, the way we are as humans, like when it comes to like food and drink. Yeah. Like we get that nostalgia for like something from our childhood, and like it never goes away as well. So like that's just like a part of your human experience. So like like in the world of comedy, like it's like there's comics from when you first started that like there's always going to be a little bit of that in what you do. Just like how you're always gonna love McDonald's chicken nuggets even if they aren't exactly that good.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm that way with.
Like I love them, but I'm not gonna actually say they're good.
They're satisfying, but not because they're good.
Yeah. They take you back.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I think, and I'm always curious too.
And they're great when you're high.
Are there foods that are not great when you're high? Aside from food that you would genuinely not enjoy at any point.
I would say I can't imagine sauerkraut being any better high.
Okay. All right.
Because that's one that's already a pretty niche taste anyway.
Yeah.
Anything like super, I guess, acidic like that, I can't imagine being much better high. Any like single ingredient food, honestly, I don't think would be as good. Because it's more when you're high, you get to experience the symphony of the flavors a little more. You're better at picking out some ingredients every now and then that would like pass you on the first time.
That's right. You know what's funny is you have a very articulate palate, and I wonder if you're like a foodie, if you're a person who you cook a lot.
Yes.
Okay.
Again, you can't tell by the fact that I got takeout for us, but no, typically I've cooked for every guest.
By the way, this was dope. Savory Sopapilla. Where's the place called?
Place called La Paloma.
La Paloma.
It is a big deal in the Newark area. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know it existed.
They just opened one down the street like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
So it's been the spot.
Yeah, if you're in Newark, check it out.
Yeah, and I explained to him too, because typically sopapillas are like a dessert item, and then we here in Newark we shoved a bunch of meats, cheese, and beans in them as well, covered them with salsa, lettuce, and tomato. So it's one of the only times that white people have actually taken something else that's white, because it's originally a Hungarian dish, and then Mexicanized it.
It worked out though.
Yeah, shout out Tony Cruz.
Oh man, I love that. That's gonna that's a delayed detonation. He's gonna see it later on. That's great. No, it's funny because I didn't know Tony until we started going to some of the same open mics.
Yeah,
he's another killer that I had no idea.
Absolutely.
I didn't know. Like, I'd see him on flyers and stuff, but I never actually met him. So you see people that are comics, but you don't associate them with their act because you've never seen them in act mode. And even if it's even if it's open, even if you had an open mic, a lot of times it's difficult to see somebody's actual acts.
Yeah. I met Tony before right when he started. Basically, he was actually the producer on Lucas's podcast way back in the day.
Wow,
that's where he started. It was right around the time I did the one. He was just starting his own material. He had maybe 5 minutes, and then here we go. Years later, and he's got 5 killer minutes now. He's really worked those same 5 minutes. No, I'm kidding. It's only taken 4 years. No, I'm kidding. He's really stepped it up. There's there's a lot of people in the newer class, and as I say this as an elder Columbus comedy millennial.
Okay.
Anyone that's basically started in the last 2 years, which again, you're so good, that's why I thought you were more than 2 years.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. And then just seeing a couple of other up and comers, it does give me hope, which is something I'm not used to having ever.
Same. Yeah. I avoided at all costs, actually.
Yeah. I'll say most relatable line in any Marvel movie was Hawkeye's don't give me hope.
Yeah. Dude, speaking of which, I as someone who really enjoys the Marvel movies, how do you feel about how this phase is going?
I really have noticed this phase really slipping. But as someone that, again, hours ago just watched the Guardians Volume 3, that was probably the best one since Spider-Man No Way Home.
Okay.
But of these last phases, probably the best. Again, Spider-Man not included.
Really?
Because that one, man, that one was so that one was destined for success. The one time I didn't intend to pun, holy shit. But yeah, once the world knew that we were getting, Alfred Molina's Doc Ock, Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, and then when Jamie Foxx was announced as Electro, they're like, well, then they're probably going to bring in the other 2 Spider-Men. So you had so much, again, nostalgia putting butts in seats for that, and it was so well done too. I remember that. I love the movie No Way Home for the fact that it was one of the few times it disproved the fact that only Black people yell out in movie theaters. Because you saw the whitest, nerdiest motherfuckers standing up, cheering.
Oh yeah.
I was one of them. Hell, when fucking Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock showed up on screen, right away I was up there. I'm like, hell yeah, man.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
It's funny because if you go to any movie where there's gonna be fanboys, everybody in the movie, everybody is the same level of exuberant nerd. You cannot over nerd especially at like a early screening or like when it first comes out.
Oh yeah, I was like maybe like the third showing at like our theater.
Yeah,
and yeah, I mean every now and then if I really just want like some like heartwarming content, I will Google Garfield saves MJ like on YouTube on when the pop when Garfield saved her, man. I mean, there was a whole lot of big pops.
Yeah.
I mean, Garfield and Maguire just even showing up on screen was so huge. But yeah, just that it was like 2 seconds of his face on screen of him like about to burst into tears when he realized that he actually saved her. That one again, I'm just like, God damn it, man.
You know what? I feel bad that he didn't get a chance to at least do a third one because he's actually my favorite. He's my favorite Spider-Man.
He is the best.
He's not my best. He's not my favorite Peter Parker.
No, that will still always be Tobey for me. But yes, no, I agree. Garfield was the best Spider-Man.
Yeah, he was way too cool to be Peter Parker. Like entirely too smooth. Like
way too sexy.
Yeah. It's weird that like that's a knock if you become a Hollywood actor. Like you can over sexy a role and like ruin. Like that's insanity. But anyway, continue.
Like Idris Elba as Knuckles in Sonic.
Yeah,
Knuckles didn't need to be that sexy. He did not need to bring the hot chocolate to that role.
You could have got Paul Giamatti to be
absolutely
Knuckles.
Absolutely, Paul Giamatti would have been a great Knuckles.
Yeah, like it honestly, it's funny because like I feel like.
And who thinks I need your power?
I miss Paul Giamatti. Like, remember when he was in everything,
dude? Oh my god, he was like the cranberry of white actors.
Yeah, like he was like and I never saw him in anything where I was like, Giamatti's ruining this fucking movie. I've never seen him ruin anything.
Amazing Spider-Man 2. Him as Rhino.
Oh yeah, but that was just at the end though. Like he was only
very beginning, very end. Yeah.
Okay.
He bookended.
Oh
he
yeah,
bookended the movie.
Okay.
And like you could make the argument, it's like why did they even have him in the first place? But unfortunately, if you remove him, then that doesn't. There was something that happened in that opening chase scene that like was unfortunately detrimental to the rest of the movie. So it's like he kind of had to be there.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing. And the whole reason that people also hate on Garfield is just that second movie. And it's no fault to him personally.
Yeah.
He did a fine job with what he was given. He was just given a terrible movie.
Well, that, and I don't think we were prepared for Gwen Stacy to die. I mean, I don't think we expected that was good. Because remember, they hadn't really done, aside from Blade, they hadn't really done adult superhero movies where there were like actual stakes at that point yet.
Yeah.
We had the Dark Knight movies. Okay.
Well, it was a vampire movie. Of course, there's stakes.
Okay. Bang, bang, bang. Always on. Got it in the chamber.
Always.
All time.
Pew pew.
Yeah.
No, I also was under the assumption they would give him his trilogy. I knew the trilogy would probably end. I didn't think they would do it in 2. I thought they would have saved that for the third. Because, I mean, unfortunately, almost every version of Gwen Stacy, she dies. There's the one that she went on to be, Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
Then there was one she went to be Gwen Poole. But yeah, most of the time, it'd be like if there was a universe where Uncle Ben survived.
Fair.
Fair. And I mean, all right, in the MCU, we never saw him, so we could just assume that one he was just a deadbeat.
Who, Uncle Ben? Or that he was already dead?
No, I don't think they ever mentioned him specifically that he was dead.
Because that's the one where Sally Field was Aunt May, right? That's the.
Oh no! That one they had Uncle Ben die. I'm talking like Tom Holland, like the newest.
Oh, okay. Marissa Tomei
with Hot Aunt May.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. That Uncle Ben was
just never, not around.
Yeah, they mentioned his name like 3 times.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know they mentioned him at all.
That's 3 times they just hinted at his existence, and never once did I think they said that he died.
Yeah.
So it could be the one universe where Uncle Ben was just, on his king shit, hit it and quit it, and then went out. And I mean, we saw that Aunt May. I mean, come on, like
that was it. Well, I'm real curious what Tom Holland's gonna do now, because I mean, with that, he is a very talented actor, but Spider-Man is like Like that's his Indiana Jones. That's his Star Wars. So
right.
Like I wonder what you do when you become so iconic so early that people can't see you as anything else aside from Spider-Man.
You mean Daniel Radcliffe syndrome?
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing. I would love to see Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine. I'll be honest.
There was that rumor on Twitter for a while that he was, and he even addressed it. He's like, I would love to, but also I'm not Wolverine. He just flat out said. Then again, Garfield was like, I am not in this movie. I can't tell you enough. I am not in this movie.
Yeah, but also didn't he like ruin something before, so like they had to make sure that like that he wouldn't do it, or is that Tom Holland that keeps ruining?
Tom Holland was the big spoiler. I remember seeing that like maybe it was like the week or so before No Way Home dropped in theaters. They had Tom Holland on Hot Ones. And I was like, I will listen to every word of this because he's going to spoil the entire next Marvel phase, not even just this whole movie.
Yeah, they don't even give him that anymore.
Yeah, he's going to ruin like 4 or 5 movies and 2 of the streaming shows.
You know what I was really I don't want to say upset about, but I was disappointed about. And I think maybe it might have been because of COVID. In the Eternals movie, when Kumail Nanjiani got as jacked as he got, right? I was like, this is gonna be a new phase for him. Like a stand-up comic is becoming an A-list action star, like before our eyes, right? And by the way, he was not in good shape as he became Kumail Nanjiani to stand up. I'd say he's one of the newer of the comics that are his age. I'd put him in the top. Like I'd see him anywhere.
Yeah,
right. But like the idea that they were turning him into a Marvel star, the traditional Marvel star. And then they didn't even give him like a shirtless scene.
No, he didn't. Hell, they even gave Paul Rudd one.
That's weird. That was a weird choice for I wasn't against it. It's just like, isn't Paul Rudd like 60?
Yeah. When he I was saying, you guys know, I mean, you graduated the same year.
Yeah, we did go to high school together.
Yeah,
that's true. Like I think he was a couple years ahead of me, but yeah.
I agree. I remember because when they announced that he was Ant-Man back in 2013, 2014, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, because it was around the Age of Ultron, so they would have announced it in 14, and then it came out in 15.
Yeah.
In 2014 he was already like upper 40s, because I mean he's like 54 now, maybe. I don't know. I don't have a producer to look this shit up, but it's just me, myself, and I.
Dude, I like it because it's it's like the old radio shows where like you didn't know everything. Like you couldn't just be like, "Hey, like, is this true?" You'd have to actually have
this. I think it's very refreshing in today's day and age when you hear someone speaking and just winging it. Yeah, like just throwing shit at a wall and being like, "Hope this sticks."
Yep, I have no idea if this is true. I just, this is my theory about things. Like, yeah, no, I agree, and I grew up at that time, so I still kind of don't remember.
Well, that's why they have a comment section for everyone to be like, "Listen, you fucking idiot, your math was way off. He's only 52."
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, so do you think you would want to act?
Absolutely. I act like I'm happy every day. I've been method acting my whole life.
Yeah, you've been in it, doing the work.
Yeah, actually, update for regular listeners as well. I am actually closest to happy I've ever been because for the first time since I've had this podcast, I got laid finally.
Hey.
I ended my 13-month-long nut rut, so yeah,
congratulations.
Yeah, 3 times in the last week. It's been great.
Who's the lucky sock?
I'm sorry. Her name's Marissa. The sock was pink.
I'm fucking happy for you, man. Like it's the amount of romantic trials and tribulations that I see comics go through.
Oh my god!
Like it's insane. I didn't know how what the churn was. Like every male comic that I know, girlfriends do not last long.
No,
like they do not last long at all. And I don't know what that's about. Like, because all I know of them is to be nice guys. So clearly you don't know how somebody is in a relationship. But do you think it's because they're comics, or do you think it's?
I will say it's. I mean, when an actual relationship happens, like when it's like, hey, we are like a steady thing.
Yeah.
They get over us pretty quick because unfortunately we do have such a hard time being serious. Like,
yeah.
Unfortunately, the whole reason we even do comedy is because we found out early on that we have a skill, which is anytime something in life bothers us, we deflect it with comedy.
Just make it a joke. Yeah.
So unfortunately, that's half the times something serious happens, and they're like they want to talk about it, and then we're always like, nope. So that pisses women off. And then also there's just the fact that, and I found out recently that a year ago I went on a date with a girl, and I was her worst date ever.
How did you just find that out? Like, was there an announcement? Like, did you? It was an alert on your phone.
I'll say trying to be vague about it, but a friend of mine, we were talking, and her now ex-husband was starting to see this girl, and had met, just somehow my name got brought up, and she stated like, I went on a date with him one time, worst date ever. And then they're like, oh, do tell. And do you want to hear what I did?
Yes.
To qualify as worst date ever.
Yes.
So apparently I did two things. One, I got a flight of beer.
Okay.
Which I'm like, all right, first off.
You're not allowed to get a flight of beer?
Yeah. I mean, any bartender will tell you that, yeah, don't get me wrong, we kind of sort of hate you, but like, that's not a reason to like.
Wait, why do they hate you when you get a flight of beer? Why is that?
It's just time consuming and all that.
Yeah,
they're busy. They just want to like pull one and go and give it instead of having to do like the 4 little minis and like. I get that, but still, I love the fact that was like her strikes 1 and 2. Was he got a flight of beer? Maybe there was like some deeper psychological thing, like, oh, clearly he has commitment issues. He can't commit to just one beer. He has to have 4 or 5. I'm like, no, it's just a new place. I want to try all this shit.
Cheat on me. I know this for a fact. Look at this flight beer. Like, he's gonna fuck my friend.
Yeah. I mean, if they're also dark and full bodied, then
dude, you like them how you like them. That's right. So what was the second?
So the second one, you're really gonna love this, and any comic listening will love this. Quote unquote, he talked about his dick the whole time.
That's so problematic, but it's so hilarious.
It is. I understand it. Now, unfortunately, again, another curse of being a comedian is we do have just a hard time of shutting ourselves off.
Yeah.
And again, the world of amateur comedy is riddled with dick and poop jokes, as I stated before. But like then as soon as I heard that, and don't get me wrong, I laughed my ass off too. I'm really like focusing every cell in my body to remembering that night. And I'm like starting to play like the Rolodex of that conversation back in my head. I only talked about it twice.
Was it back to back though?
It might. Well, no, it wasn't back to back. I did let the dick breathe. I did let the dick breathe. And one of them was, I even remember specifying like, oh yeah, sorry, this is a bit, but oh well, I'm already here. So one, I gave her free comedy, so she should be very grateful that I didn't charge her an extra $5.
Dude, that you know what's funny?
The second one I remember was very much like, I'll be mature enough to admit the second dick story was pretty graphic and not good first date material. I will accept that. But one for two, and even then, I know we talked. I mean, if anything, we talked about a lot of Spiderman. I remember that. And if anything, that should be a strike for women.
Well, yeah. So wait, I don't know about that now because I know a number of girls that are
She was a fan though.
Okay,
she was a fan. We actually were like talking about like actual like issue numbers. So like she did know her shit about Spider-Man.
Yeah, and so like I think that's actually really cool for just young people in general now, which is the idea that there's not really, unless it's like harmful or problematic, there's not really anything that you're not allowed to be into as a kid now.
Yes.
Like you can like if you're a 14-year-old boy and My Little Pony is your shit, it's fine.
Yeah. Like the fact that like anyone's just allowed to be into anime now.
Yeah.
But back in, I mean, hell, even in like when I was in like middle school, like Dragon Ball is pretty much the only okay thing you were allowed to be into anime-wise. If you were into anything deeper than that at the time, like, you weren't allowed to.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the fact that like superheroes are cool now. And when back in the day, I mean, that would like ruin your life if you were out as a superhero fan.
Right. Yeah. I think definitely when I was in high school, getting into comics was not cool.
Right. Like, for sure. Again, to bring up Patton Oswalt again, I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of feel like there's a bit of him that has to be bitter as fuck that comic books are so cool now, because he was there in like the trenches of when comics weren't cool, and he came out the other side. There's probably just that little bit of him. I mean, he's been in so many comic properties since then. He's been in multiple shows. He's in the MCU now. He did his own. So, like, I mean, he's getting to enjoy the promised land, but like, there's got to be that little bit of him that's like bitter that none of those kids had to walk 40 years through the desert first to get to that promised land. Yeah,
well, okay, I agree with that, but I also think that the environment for those kids would not have existed were it not for the Patton Oswalt. Like, he was one of the first people that actually did whole bits about deep cut like comedy, like deep cut comic lore,
right?
And to an audience that actually got it, like him, Brian Posehn, who else might they did a tour together, like Patton Oswalt, Brian Posehn. I'm thinking there's like two more guys that are all huge comic nerds.
Oh yeah, the Comedians of Comedy.
That's what.
It was Galifianakis.
Yeah.
Before Hangover, and then Maria Bamford.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
And which, by the way, Maria Bamford was one of the first people that I saw do the reverse of their stage voice.
Yeah.
Wherein like her actual delivery is the strange part.
Right.
And like but she can sound normal whenever she wants.
Yes.
Like, which I think that level of self-awareness, like to know, like, oh, I know I sound weird and I could sound normal, like if I need to.
Yeah.
But the idea
she chose that.
Yeah. Like she's like, no, I'm going to talk how I talk. Like, and it's, I think it's that's the type of thing that I like that comics can show people, is how to be a level of honest, right? How to deal with certain realities of your existence that other people aren't going to show you how to do.
Right.
Right.
One of my one thing I will always love, and like to go back to early Bo Burnham, I love middle Bo Burnham, because that was like, I love when he first just started introducing elements of like something actually deep, serious, and not funny. It was so sprinkled in, and he made it work so perfectly. That's why, like, for me, Inside was a little more of just that, and then sprinkled in the comedy. No, I love just the quick little breath of sincerity, of severity, stuff like that. And like, I mean, when I get more than just like 5 minutes of stage time, I will always try to add a little something into it. Like when the stand-up world went after Hannah Gadsby. Like, I'm a Hannah Gadsby fan. I know she's not a fan of me or my people, but
what is the huge knock on her? I mean, people said she wasn't funny. I like Nanette.
Same, right? Same. I thought it was funny. In fact, she had a joke right at the beginning of it about like, I grew up knowing more facts about unicorns than lesbians. There are no facts about unicorns.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's a great joke. No, I personally, I liked Nanette. I'll admit I like Douglas a little more, because that was her even being like, all right, fine, I'll give you guys some more fucking jokes if it shuts you up. But and they were good jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people, they wanted LPMs, they wanted just nonstop jokes. And yeah, some people don't like too much story. Again, I'm from the world of theater. I love me a good story. Like,
yeah, and I think also there's still room for long form comedy like that. Like, there's still I don't think that it's, I don't know, maybe I'm not the audience to judge it by, but I still want to see somebody tell stories. I still want to go I still want somebody to take their time, but also
I want to experience emotions that aren't just happy, funny all the time.
Yeah.
Right. And you appreciate it more when you get back there if you've gone somewhere else.
Yeah, I think also that that level of surprise, I think, is important for the live experience, right? Like if you now you kind of know everything's going to be okay, but you don't know how it's going to be okay, right? Or like if a comic brings up something and you don't know how they're going to get the crowd back, right? That's the adventure. Is like, okay, Howard, like they will, right? Like that's Jesse's whole act is like, I'm going to say something that would normally lose the crowd for any other comic, right? But then I'm going to get it back.
Yeah. You know? My favorite of that style was Patrice. Patrice would say the most offensive, polarizing shit in the beginning of his set, and then by the end of his set, he will have won you back.
Not only that, but he will have convinced you that he's right. Not only that you still like him, but like the point that he made that you originally did not agree with, that you wanted to throw things at him for. Yeah. He has a point. Yeah,
like whatever. Like the big lady in the audience by the end of the show is like, you know what? I should have shut the fuck up.
Yeah. It's funny because I can't believe I didn't mention when we were talking about influences, because I remember watching Patrice on Tough Crowd.
Yep. Tough Crowd. Some O&A.
Yeah. And I remember he was one of the first people that you were like, oh, this isn't an act. Yeah, like this is you. Mm-hmm. Now you're you on stage, but like, and yeah, clearly he was he was a tremendous writer, but like that's his actual personality. And you could see it everywhere. And I'm like, that's got to be that's a goal. That sort of genuineness. That sort of like that ability to always be who you are at all times, no matter what. If people are gonna be mad at you, like, because that was the majority of his sets. There'd be some point in the set where somebody was genuinely upset at him. Right. Like he really pissed somebody off.
There was, I can't remember on which of his posthumous albums, but there was the one that was the fried chicken lady or whatever. It's a 7 or 8 minute long bit. And I mean, he just gets this woman like so fired up. It is masterful.
Does he get her back?
Like, does he win it back? Or I think he just basically cools her jets off enough to not charge the stage, but the crowd the entire time loved it because it just wasn't happening to them.
Yeah, you know who I saw and I used to really, really enjoy, and that's another person who I think I accidentally ate their cadence from time to time. Paul Mooney. He used to do that a lot, but he wouldn't even try to get the crowd back.
No.
He
didn't care.
Yeah, he would just say, "I'm going to say something. You're not going to like it, and if you don't, I hope you leave." Yeah, and I don't know if I would ever. I don't know if I'd ever be comfortable like that.
No, I know for a fact I wouldn't. Like, even when I do dabble in the world of anything dark or offensive, it's like I don't ever want people to leave because I need everyone to like me so goddamn much.
Right? Do you think that's because
it's just from a business standpoint too. Like I need. Like I just need, I need people to show up to shows. I need to know that people enjoy what I do. For that regard. So again, I don't need to be anyone's favorite comic. I just need to be consistently good. Yeah. Like I need people to see my name on a bill and just be like, oh, he's gonna do good. Yeah. Like, I don't need to be someone's favorite.
Well, I think that's part of what you said, being able to see your name and they know that you're gonna do well when you go up. Like, I think that's part of your job as a live performer in any capacity, right? Because the audience is kind of up there with you, right? Subconsciously. So if you do something that's cringe, that doesn't work, they feel uncomfortable too, because they're in the audience watching you not do well, right? Right. So if they have that confidence that like, oh, I can sit back, I don't have to worry about whether or not these are gonna hit. Like, this is gonna do fine.
Like, this is my guy. Like he's got me.
Yeah. Like I think giving people that sense of confidence is sort of what allows them to access what you do a little bit more, and I'm wondering what you think, what would you advise younger comics to do to develop
that? There's just one that I still have to like get on myself about to this day, 5 years in, which is just quit doubting yourself. Yeah. Every now and then, again, just being depressed, doubt always creeps its way into my head every now and then, and even if I'm doing well, especially my first couple times I killed, as soon as I would get like a big laugh, and I actually had to do like a laugh break for it. The moment I did, my inner thoughts were like, wow, you actually are able to do it. I bet you can't top that. And then, believe it or not, like my first couple times, that's all it took. It was like, yeah, you're not going to top that. You peaked too early. And I would tank. I would start getting a little jittery, a little stammering over my words, which, I mean, I grew up having a stutter anyway.
Oh, me too.
And it, believe it or not, it's just naturally started creeping its way back in the last like 2 or 3 years. Like, I was like, shit, I thought I kicked this when I was, like 10. But no, it came back, much like the mullet and new metal things no one wanted to come back, and it came back.
Yeah, that's fine. You know what's weird is I feel like
you would rock a mullet. That's what you're feeling, right?
Okay, well, first of all, I have rocked a mullet. I will rock a mullet again. Yeah. All right, I'm just not right now. I'm growing up. But the point is, point is, like I feel like a lot of comics have started with a communication problem. Yes, in some way, right? You started with an inability to communicate in the way that you wanted, right. And some of us, I think, still have that, but I think it's so dope that you can be a comedian and still be so flawed. It's fine. It's funny. It's funny.
And it makes us more human too.
Yeah,
like to see someone that, like, obviously you also want to see a performer just 100% owning their shit, but every now and then it's good to see a few little cracks here and there. Just remind us, like, hey, we're all human. We're all in this big struggle called life together.
Yeah.
So just do drugs and eat ass.
I mean, they usually go hand in hand. And to be honest with you, I don't trust anybody who doesn't do either. So
same.
It's the least you can do. It's neighborly. But what I am curious about is, given that you. First of all, what episode is this? What number?
Actually, I think you're lucky 13.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Okay.
We might have to two-part this one because I also just looked at the time, and we're about an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
Typically, I'm 45 minutes to an hour, so yeah, I might do this as a part 2. Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah,
let's split it up. And yeah, I know you want to go to Bourbon Street, so I mean, we probably do need to wrap it up, but
yeah, cool.
So anyway, I also never introduced Murph Henderson, so. Murph Henderson, everyone, for those that didn't actually hear. Yeah, we were in it from the get-go. But yeah, if you're in Columbus on Thursday nights, you can catch him at Savor Pint on Indianola. He hosts open mic. I am also one of the hosts there, even though me being a host is literally a joke. That has happened like 3 times.
Rock's going to put you on the flyer. Like, he's going to put everyone on the flyer.
Okay, good. Yeah. Like we'll do like a big reunion show. We'll have everybody that's ever hosted there.
Never bring up like any comics. Just keep bringing up other hosts.
Yeah, yeah. Let's say Toy Loy will be back. Amanda will be back. Hannah will be back from being too successful. And then so Thursday nights at Savor Pint. Also, you say it was May 30th,
June 30th.
Yeah, June 30th. He's at Cafe Kerouac as well.
Yep.
Check that out. Anything else you want to plug? Anywhere people can follow you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Henderson Murph. I usually put any shows that I'm on there. The show that I'm doing the 30th has a bunch of killers on it, so please come out. As a matter of fact, a number of the comics that we were talking about today, like Ty Moore is going to be on that show, and Tony Cruz is going to be on that show, along with a bunch of other heavy hitters. So please come out and see us. Also, are you coming to Cafe
Bourbon?
Yeah.
Probably not.
No.
But I mean, I'll be out there sometime soon. Also, check out the new Sunday one as well. But yeah, so thank you all for listening again. I'm not sure if this will be a 2-parter yet or not. I might just drop it all, but who knows? So thanks again for listening. Check out Murph, and remember, do drugs and eat ass
all day, every day.